when your mental health is in a really negative place, it doesn't matter who you are, what you've got, what you do for a living. There were people in professions in this community that I would never have thought. People who work in public bodies, lawyers, doctors, construction workers. And it made me realize that the mind is fragile and we all experience difficult periods in life. And it doesn't matter your gender, it affects us all. Hey guys, it's your girl Miss Annie J, and today I wanted to just have another conversation with you guys, but relating more to mental health and my journey into healing, how life has been looking for me since I've been on this journey. First thing I will say is I posted the video about the fact that I quit my job, which was a big deal for me because I've been working consistently for decades, being in a spot of career stability, being able to achieve the things that are normal, having a house and a good job and things like that. But it wasn't enough for me, and I knew this for a long time. But the reason why it took me so long to step out of that comfort zone and walk into my purpose was because I was dealing with mental struggles. And I feel like there are so many people who go through the same type of mental difficulties, but we just don't open up about it. To a degree, it's still tabooed. And even though workplaces encourage mindfulness and well-being, sometimes people don't want to expose that side of themselves for fear of being stigmatized. I remember when I used to apply for jobs and they asked you, oh, do you suffer from a disability? And I knew that yes, I deal with premenstrual dysphoric disorder every month. It is a debilitating condition. And yet for a long time, when I was going through my career paths, I did not pop that down on my application forms because I felt like if I do, maybe they'll think I'm not going to be able to perform in this job. Because let's be honest, you just still, as an individual, feel that if I state something like that, they're going to think something about me. For fear of that, I would leave it off my application form. Guys, it is not spoken about enough. But more so, I wanted to concentrate on how I got from a point of feeling so down in life, how I got from a point of feeling unworthy, low self-confidence, not having belief in myself, to a point now where I feel that I'm able to achieve anything. Guys, it all comes down to your mindset. This is such an important factor in the way that we live life, in the way that we view ourselves. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to be able to see change. You're not going to be able to do extraordinary things because you're limited right from your mindset. I was born, raised a Christian. For a long time, I was sort of battling between the idea of what the Bible says versus the condition that I deal with, what I was going through, whether I would ever feel relief. I had prayed about it, meditated, but I do believe that there is a place for psychology, not as you may be thinking within the Christian context. And I say that on the basis that the Bible teaches the same principles, bearing in mind that it is older than all these theories and studies and the things that I learned going through something like cognitive behavioral therapy, my counseling sessions and the like. These things, they're in the Bible. And I just did not realize when God tells us to do something, he tells us to act by faith. Let me give you an example really quickly, right? Matthew chapter 17 verse 20 says, "For verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you." It's the system of belief. What you believe, you're able to overcome. Now, this is where I believe that our subconscious plays a part, because is the element of our mind that is actually a very powerful tool that we have been given by God, in my opinion. And what you feed your subconscious will then reflect into your reality. For example, I used to always think negative thoughts about my circumstances, about my future, just generally I used to bombard myself with negativity. What you feed your subconscious, let's say my subconscious is fertile ground and it is ready to grow any seed that I plant in it. The negative thoughts that I used to think on a constant basis, I was sowing those negative thoughts into the soil of my subconscious, and that was manifesting in my reality. And this is how I've now changed my way of thinking. Guys, even if I think about something and genuinely I'm like, I don't know, I will convince myself that it can be done. And I do that because I know how powerful it is to feed yourself positive thoughts and for that to be planted in your subconscious, for it to manifest into your reality. And I will keep on saying it out loud to myself, and I will convince myself that this is the way that it is. This is how it's going to be, to the point that I start to genuinely believe it. You've probably heard the saying, do it and keep doing it. Even if you don't believe it can happen, you do it like you believe it. And the reason for that is because you're adding faith into your thought process. So you're believing that you will believe in what you think. And the more you do that and feed your subconscious then starts to fertilize those thoughts. Those thoughts, as they're being fertilized, will start to manifest. It sounds like, call it what you may, right? But this is what has got me from being over there to being over here. And those of you who have watched my PMDD videos where I talk about, and PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It's a severe version of PMS, right? A debilitating version. It's awful. Those of you that have heard me talk about that condition and the fact that because I do those videos to encourage women who deal with the condition that they can make it irrespective. The condition happens on a month by month basis, every month without fail. And I speak about these endorphins, which are to boost the feel good factor. Because the more you do that, the more you put yourself in a positive mindset, the more you're feeding your subconscious that you're happy, that you're joyful, life is good. And the more I do that and feed myself, feed my mind in that way, the less power the negative symptoms of the condition have over my life. There is a way that we can override what has been installed in us, our existing way of thinking. There is a way that we can overcome that. We can move on to something greater. For me, in terms of this condition, I believe that the root cause of it was emotional childhood trauma. And people who deal with mental health conditions may agree. Maybe you've been through something that was so traumatic that has now set your mind in this particular way of thinking that only brings sadness, depression, anxiety, unfulfillment, feeling hopeless. It evokes those emotions out of you. And that's your experience of life. Life isn't enjoyable. And this is why I believe that it's important to deal with emotional traumas, because the emotional traumas that I went through caused me to exhibit certain behaviors, and those behaviors became learnt over a long period of years. For example, the behaviors that I went through as a child, I've just mentioned some of them. Those symptoms are the same symptoms that I experience when I go through my condition. And I strongly believe that it's because they are learned behaviors. Obviously, the traumas that we go through, it's not of your own doing. It may have been something somebody did to you, an experience that you had that was emotionally catastrophic and scarred you. And when we carry around those scars and we think about the pain, the anguish we felt as a result of those experiences, those negative reactions we feed to our subconscious, and then it manifests in our reality. Then we find that we're not progressing with life, things aren't moving forward. I mean, guys, I was at a point where I used to always expect the worst because that's what I remember of my childhood, that good things didn't happen to me. Things were always negative. Things were always scary. And so I got into that mindset, even in my adulthood, expect the worst. If things were going well for me, I would start to get anxiety about it because good things don't happen to me. Something always goes wrong. That had become my mindset, my learned way of thinking. And so this journey that I have been on has been a process of unlearning those things. Listen, if you have an old computer and the software is not upgraded, you're not going to be able to utilize and make the most of upgraded software, right? Which is normally the better version. It does things quicker, it does things smarter. Whenever we upgrade our software, the old software is uninstalled and the new software replaces that. That is how I saw my journey through getting my mental health from the negative end of the spectrum into the positive end of the spectrum. I realized that I have to uninstall my old way of thinking. I have to uninstall and delete and get rid of my negative mindset, that pessimist that had grown with me from childhood. And that was the only way that I was going to see a difference in my life. And guys, seriously, it has been a phenomenal journey. And sometimes I question and I wonder and I used to ask God, why do I go through this? Someone needs my help, I'm there for them. Why was I born with cleft lip and palate? Why did I have to deal with this condition, PMDD? I graduated from one period and era of trauma into another period and era of trauma in my adult life. I used to sit and really wonder why things had been so difficult for me for so long. And now that I have put in the work, guys, when I say to you that I read books, I'm always learning. If you don't apply knowledge, then it's not power, it's just knowledge. But if you take knowledge, if you read knowledge and you actually apply it to your life, that's when it becomes powerful. I would read books, guys. I would work on myself. I would work on my mindset. I would work on my way of thinking because all I knew was that I was exhausted. Guys, I was exhausted with being exhausted, with being tired, with feeling down, depressed, feeling like things are not going to ever excel or get better for me. I was tired of that. And now that I'm on the other side of it, God has made me realize that I went through this journey that I have been on so that I could encourage people. And that is why when you look at the things that I post, yes, I cover various areas, but that is why of recent, if you look at my most recent posts, all the material is encouraging, empowering, and my Instagram is completely that as well. And in fact, this is probably a good point for me to say, if you do want to see my motivational, empowering posts, do follow me on my Instagram at Miss Annie J. But going through this, it made me realize that this is my journey. This has been personal to me. And our journeys may not be the same. Yours may look completely different. And you might question why. Why does this happen to me? I used to do the same thing. But one thing I can say is I stopped trying to make sense of things. Because when I try to make sense of it, 10 times out of 10, I don't get the resolve or the answer that I'm looking for. It doesn't make sense to me still. But by putting in my energy and my brain power into trying to reason why would just make me feel overwhelmed. It would put me in a negative headspace. Rather than focusing on the things that I'm not able to change, I focus on the things that I can. And the thing that I can change is me. I have every control over the way I think, the way I behave, the way I tackle life, my level of resilience, my ability to bounce back. What I can make sense of is going through all the struggles that have taken place in life. I'm at a point now, I am emotionally the strongest I've ever been in my life. My mind feels free. I feel elated. I feel like a different person. It's not material things that are going to bring happiness. Yes, it's nice to have money. It's nice, but there are people who have all of that and they're still not happy within themselves. When I say to you, I quit my job, I sold my flat, I gave up everything that brought me comfortability, but I am the happiest that I have been. I would not change my experience or go back, my job back, my house back, because taking the steps that I've taken and the priority was improving my life, my mental well-being. And in doing so, I feel like I am now unstoppable and now I am living for real. It's an amazing feeling, guys. And this is why I go so hard on the things that I post, because I believe that there are people out there who do need this encouragement. going through a tough time, through difficulties, but you can make it through. If you truly want change, you can have it, but you have to take the first step. It doesn't come miraculously. There will be days where you feel like you may be slipping back into old habits, into your old mindset. Guys, I've been there, but you have to stay committed to the journey of transforming your life, to the journey of transforming your mind. That is how you see change, through going through the difficulties, the traumas. It has all led me to this point, right where I am, and I wouldn't change it, and I can't change it. If you are on this path, you are wanting to change your life, improve your life, you can do it. As long as you want it, as badly as you want to breathe, you can see change. It's a bright new day. You're here with your girl, Miss Annie J. I'm gonna give them what they want, cause I came to slay. And nothing's ever gonna take my joy away. I'm about that life.